Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode number 132 of the Wise Guys Sports Show here on the Wise Guys YouTube channel. It is rivalry week in college football. It is already kicked off, and we have had a lot of fun already and more fun to come. I am one of your hosts. I'm the Big Rican on Sports, Mike Martinez. And without any further ado, I'm going to bring in my co-host with the most, Mr. JC Bluno, Jim Carnidian. James, happy Thanksgiving, sir.
Happy Thanksgiving or belated happy Black Friday, Blackout Friday if you've got the long weekend ahead of you. It's we're gonna go. This is not gonna go very long tonight. It's definitely going to be a show. But yeah, we've got to come on and do this. We've had a couple of the games earlier, but we've got 15, 16 games still to tear into.
Yeah, we got a bunch, and almost every single one of them have some kind of implication for next weekend, which is the conference championship games. Of course, the big one in my household, high noon tomorrow in Ann Arbor. Ryan Day going for his first win since 2019, although they would have won in 2020 had Michigan not bitched out. We have a couple games going on right now. Of course, in clean old-fashioned hate, we had another close one. As Georgia pulls it out 16-9, beating Georgia Tech today in Atlanta. Thank God Augusta is nowhere near Atlanta, so I wouldn't have to worry about the traffic getting out of there. Also, right now, Texas A&M and Texas were locked in a 3-3 tie with 2 minutes left in the first half and an injury to Texas A&M's quarterback. Actually, I take it back. It is 10-3 A&M with 18 seconds left in the first half. If A&M wins, they will go to their first ever SEC championship game, which is pretty cool, Jim, if you ask me. I mean, that's...
Well, yeah, but also keep in mind, they haven't been in that conference that long, though.
No, that's true. But again, in Texas's first year, they went to the SEC title game. So it's kind of 6 of one, half dozen of another. But other than that, if A&M loses, now we've got chaos. Because the Iron Bowl tomorrow is going to be a big one if they lose. Who else is in the mix for the SEC? We did it last week.
So, well,
A&M.
let's get cranking. Even though it's not a full hat trick, we'll still throw the graphic up. We'll still hit the horn, and we'll just start tearing into these here.
Let's rock and roll.
It's the 3 biggest topics in the world of sports from the last week. Get ready for the Wise Guys hat trick.
So Mike talked about it. We're going to tear into it with Georgia's win right now. They have actually they've done everything that they need to, sitting right now at 7-1 in the SEC and 11-1 overall. If Texas A&M wins against Texas tonight, as they're just prior to the half, A&M will be going to Atlanta, guaranteed, as still one of only 3 undefeated teams left in the country. And then that's where things get topsy-turvy because Ole Miss handled their business today in the Egg Bowl over Mississippi State, the hapless Mississippi State squad, who is not going to be bowl eligible. Ole Miss sits at 7-1, but as it stands right now, they cannot go to Atlanta because Georgia would own that tiebreaker. So if we start in Alabama with the Iron Bowl, if Alabama loses, then Georgia will be going to it. Georgia's already going to Atlanta at least as I think it stands right now. If A&M wins, they will be joining them, and but then again, I take that back because Alabama's got the tiebreaker over Georgia. So Alabama, so
Yeah,
Alabama. Go ahead, Mike.
Bama has the tiebreaker over Georgia, which means Bama, if they beat Auburn, will go to Atlanta to play against Texas A&M. Now, here's the thing: Texas lost to Georgia. Texas lost to Ohio State. Did they lose another game in conference? Are they a 3-loss team?
They're a 3-loss team, 2 in conference. They lost to Ohio State, they lost to Florida, and they lost to Georgia.
So Texas A&M is out, or Texas is out. Excuse me.
Texas is mad. Texas was eliminated last week. So right now you got 4 teams for 2 spots. So A&M holds on and wins, they're in. If Alabama wins tomorrow, they're in. It's all a matter of who Alabama is going to get. If A&M wins, it will be Alabama and A&M. If Alabama loses, I take that back from what I said earlier. It's 3 teams for 2 spots now. If Alabama loses, then Georgia's going to basically have a home game against A&M.
And I think A&M is going to be in anyway because their only conference loss, if they do lose this game, would be to Texas, who has no chance of getting in the game.
Right.
So it's A&M is in. It's just a matter of, is Bama going to win the Iron Bowl and kick Georgia to the curb, or is Bama going to choke in the Iron Bowl and get kicked to the curb for Georgia to have a home game as the road team in Atlanta? Either way, I think that'll be a great game.
Yeah.
Down here in northern Georgia. We have a couple other ones. Oak and Bucket looks like it's going exactly the way it was going to go. We're basically all set there. Arizona State is playing is no score.
Yeah,
defensive struggle out in the desert.
Exactly. Yeah, that the Territorial Cup. There's still only 7 minutes into that game. Arizona's sitting at 25. Arizona State at 20. Neither one of them can get to Dallas at this point, but it's this is one of those key rivalry games that somebody I don't know if each team with 3 losses has a shot to get into the tournament at this point, but it's definitely something where we could be talking, New Year's Day bowl game possibly for a winner. New Year's Day or shortly thereafter.
Hey, who did Oklahoma lose to?
Oklahoma is 9-2 overall. Their losses were to Texas, where they got smashed, and to Ole Miss.
Okay, so I was going to say, because I didn't know if they were both losses were in conference. Because I see they've got LSU tomorrow, and possibly LSU's last game before Lane Kiffin takes over. I know he's going to make a decision about his future tomorrow. I think Lane should postpone that decision because I honestly believe Ole Miss is probably getting in the playoff.
Ole Miss is definitely in the playoff. At the very least, I think right now with that win in the Egg Bowl today, they're hosting a first-round playoff game.
Yeah, they'll be one of the top 8 seeds. Well, one of the top 4 seeds that get a first-round game. Another game that's got interesting playoff but not conference championship ties is Vandy, Tennessee.
Yeah, this is a series that took on a whole extra meaning. Now, neither team is going to get to the playoff right now. I think Vanderbilt's losses late in the year hurt them too bad. Tennessee's been out of the running for a little bit, but this is also a series where Vanderbilt hasn't won since 2018, and every win since 2019. Now Tennessee, remember, vacated the 19 and 20 to comply with a rules violation, but this also took on a new stance where Vanderbilt head coach Clark Leah just also signed a 6-year contract extension earlier today.
That him and Drinkwitz were the two that signed the contract extensions recently.
Right.
So good. And listen, good for those two schools locking up their coaches. Because I know your whole thing with Eli is he can't win ranked games. Understood. But these are two coaches that really turned the narrative at these two schools.
I mean, if I think about it, in the battle line game, the Mizzou Arkansas game, everyone's expecting Mizzou to win this game, no problem. And Eli Drinkwitz gets a 6-year contract on Thanksgiving. Clark Leah gets his earlier today. Going into that game, and you are right. My problem with Eli Drinkwitz is the last time he won a meaningful game against a ranked opponent was a Sugar Bowl against your Ohio State team that half the starters opted out of when they didn't get into the playoff.
Yeah, no, and you and I both talked about this. We hate when that shit happens. And we can both be honest about that was not the team that Ohio State fielded all year that lost to Mizzou in that game. But again, great game plan by Eli Drinkwitz and his staff and still the best joke of college football.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
When he took the shot, when he said Connor Stallions was calling, I almost cried laughing. But we got a couple other ones. The crosstown rivalries tomorrow too. USC, UCLA. Look, this could put a bow on Lincoln Riley's best season in LA to end up with a 9-win season and really playing Oregon tough last week. They had a big win over Michigan earlier in the year. So in reality, Lincoln had a pretty damn good year in his second year in the Big Ten. The question now becomes, can he take the next step and make USC a contender next year for a Big Ten title moving forward? We also have Oregon playing Washington tomorrow. Although that's in Washington, I don't see that being close.
Yeah,
I think Dan Lanning's going up there just
Cascade Clash or the Forest Showdown, or I think that's what they called it. I know it's the Cascade Clash. That one's really not going to be close, nearly as close as the last few have been. With Washington's run to the playoff 2 years ago, and then getting to the national championship game the following season. But again, that was also the Michael Penix factor. But this is also something where Dan Lanning's going to be out for blood. This is his last real chance to make a statement. Provided that Michigan doesn't beat Ohio State tomorrow, shut them out, and Oregon's going in to Indianapolis, where I think that they would potentially run the score up on Indiana, but we'll talk about that here in a little bit.
I agree with you. I think if they got a second shot at Indiana, they would just wipe the floor with them. And then we also have an interesting one. Now, let's get into the ACC, because this is just start playing yakety sax with the fucking ACC.
Right.
Because it's crazy. But the big one is Virginia Tech in their final game before James Franklin takes over as head coach against a Virginia team that if they win, if I'm remembering correctly, Jim, they're in the ACC championship game.
Yeah, the Commonwealth Cup is definitely got a little bit more meaning this year because you got a 3-8 Virginia Tech team against a 9-2 Virginia squad that, you are right, if they win, they're going they would be going to Charlotte. They control their own destiny, and it's definitely something where, as great as we thought Miami was going to be, and Miami right now needs a lot of help. Miami needs Georgia Tech with their loss helped out. Miami needs to beat Pitt, and Miami would be meeting Virginia in Charlotte next weekend. So Virginia's got a lot riding on this in a game that everyone thinks that they should win, and should win rather handily. And it's in Charlottesburg. So it's definitely something that, is holding on their side.
Yeah, them having the home game is definitely a huge thing. Um, trying to see what other ones. So
We've got
if
a we've
Miami
got a
wins,
we've got a huge one in the Big 12 that actually could also end up getting could have first round bye implications, and that would be Texas Tech and West Virginia in a game that Texas Tech sitting at fifth in the country. A lot of people think whoever slips out of that Big Ten title game, that could be enough ammunition for, and also when you have the somebody in the SEC going to lose, Texas Tech, this is their last showcase in their annual clash against West Virginia. If they win this one, they're going to Dallas and likely going to be playing Utah after Utah beat Kansas earlier today. So Utah's already punched their ticket. Now they're just waiting on Texas Tech. So if Texas Tech wins, we got Tech and Utah next week. And the winner of and if Texas Tech wins, I think Texas Tech's going to get a first round bye as they're sitting fifth in the polls right now.
and but I think if BYU beats Central Florida, I think we're getting a rematch. If I'm reading this right, we get BYU Texas Tech in the Big 12 title game like we did a few weeks ago when Texas Tech just beat the snot out of BYU. I think I'm right on.
Would be
Yeah,
correct on that. Yeah, it's if BYU loses, Utah's going to go. If
that's right. Okay.
BYU holds serve, then we've got Texas Tech and BYU.
Which would be a great game. And on a neutral field, you never know what could happen. I mean,
Right.
There are a couple of schools in the running right now for a championship game appearance that would get home games. Indiana being one who would seal up just finish out the next 30 minutes. And Indiana's going to Indianapolis for the first time ever to play basically the winner of Michigan, Ohio State. So you got that one, and then BYU's got to play UCF. Again, not an easy game because UCF is one of those sneaky good teams, but it's in Utah. So I think we're on a collision course for rematches in two of these, for a rematch in the Big 12. Did Virginia play Miami?
I believe they did. I'm pulling that schedule right now. Virginia did not play Miami this year.
Okay.
They played Florida State. That's who we were thinking of.
Okay. Yep, you're right. All right. So ACC is looking like Miami, Virginia. Let's be honest here. Pitt was impressive against Georgia Tech. I don't know if they have the weapons because you can make Georgia Tech one-dimensional. I don't know if you can make Miami one-dimensional. If Carson Beck isn't throwing the ball to the other team, left, right, and center. So if we had to handicap it now, the only ones we're really sure about really are Big 12, because and really we're not sure about any of them yet because a lot of these games haven't been played. Think about it, the only team that's punched their ticket to the conference championship game is Indiana.
Yeah.
Unless Purdue all of a sudden turns into a world beater, Indiana's going to Indianapolis.
Texas Tech's definitely already punched their ticket. It's just a formality at this point.
Even if they lose?
I think so.
Okay.
Because at that point, because they beat a Texas team, and Texas, Texas can't get there. So it's I think Tech is mathematically already there.
Yeah, because they.
I'm sorry, A&M.
Yeah, they beat BYU. Well, A&M's already there because the only loss they'll have in the conference is Texas. So A&M's there, Indiana's there. Texas Tech is there because they beat everybody. I think their only loss was out of conference, to be honest with you. And then
he was to Arizona State. Yeah,
they're the only three. They're the only three. So
because they own the tiebreakers over both Utah and BYU and beat both of them pretty handily. 34-10 over Utah in Utah, and then 29-7 holding serve 2 weeks ago against BYU.
Yeah, so I think Texas Tech is in the Big 12 title game. You have A&M already locked up in the SEC, excuse me, and you have Indiana's in the Big Ten title game. So now we get to tomorrow, and now we get to the big ones. I don't think Auburn's going to really push Bama, to be honest with you. But it's the Iron Bowl. Who saw the fucking kick six coming?
Right. So we'll run them all down here. It's all the rivalry games with the top 25 teams that are on the schedule. We've got SMU at Cal. SMU still looking to get a significant bowl appearance here, sitting at 8-3. Cal at 6-5. Mike.
I think SMU still has a route to the ACC title game should both Miami and Virginia lose. So SMU does have something to play for. They need a lot of help, but I think they can get there if they win. And really, Miami turns into the pumpkin they have been at times, and you get Virginia Tech to do something they haven't done in a lot of years, which is win a game they're not supposed to.
Number 9 Notre Dame will finish out the entire schedule going to 4-7 Stanford. That will be a 10:30 p.m. kickoff, and Notre Dame with a win, I think, locks themselves up for a first round bye.
Not a first round bye. They'd host a game.
I'm sorry, your first round game.
Yeah, I think they'll host a game in South Bend. Listen, the only way Stanford wins this game is if Andrew Luck comes out of fucking retirement to play instead of be the GM.
Number 17 USC sitting at 8-3, hosts 3-8 UCLA, who definitely wants to put this behind them. Jordan Mayava's final home game of his wonderful USC career. Mike, I think we can both punch USC in for this one.
Yeah, USC is going to win this game.
Major implications. If we go to the American Conference, Charlotte at 1-10 with not a single win in the conference goes to Tulane at 9-2, 6-1 in the conference, and Tulane is still very, very much in the running to get to the American Conference Championship game, as they are still one of the 3 major players in getting that group of 4 bid with North Texas and I can't remember who was the other one. It's on the tip of my tongue right now.
James Madison,
very much involved.
Here's a little piece for you, because I was sitting at my brother-in-law's last night. My father-in-law, who was former Navy, we were watching Navy just dismantle Memphis in the second half last night. I mean, it was pretty epic. If Tulane and North Texas both lose, these are the next 3 weeks for Navy.
Well, you don't have to worry about North Texas, because they beat Temple the other night 52-25. So their schedule's done. They're on their way to the American Conference Championship game. They're just waiting to see if they're waiting to see Tulane hold serve tomorrow.
Yeah, so if Tulane for some reason shits themselves and loses to Charlotte, I think we're going to see Navy next week play the American Conference Championship game. The week after, play another American Conference game when they play Army. And the week after, they would be on the road in the playoff if they won the conference championship. I like Tulane in this game, though. I think we're going to see North Texas and Tulane in the American Championship game. And by the way, that's unfortunate, because if Navy doesn't schedule Notre Dame, they probably get in this thing.
And let's look at that. Let's look at the third team in that equation. James Madison will go on the road to Coastal Carolina tomorrow afternoon. James Madison is already guaranteed a spot, being 2 games clear of Old Dominion and Coastal Carolina to get to the Sun Belt Conference Championship game. They're waiting to see what's going to shake out between Southern Miss and Troy. And James Madison right now sitting just outside the top 25, but still, again, very much a part of this.
They are. And I think if they beat the Chanticleers tomorrow and they smoke, I think they're going to end up getting Troy in the championship game. And they smoke Troy. Listen, I think you got to give it to them. Troy put up really good games against a couple of big FBS schools this year. They've played well in their conference. If James Madison turns around and beats them down, you got to give them a shot.
Iron Bowl, At number 10 Alabama, 9-2, 5-6 Auburn. We've seen stranger things happen. And this one's in Jordan Hare. So and Auburn always seems to show up in when that game is in Auburn.
Yeah, and here's the thing. The Iron Bowl is one of the few rivalry games you can absolutely say it's a crapshoot every year. There are years in the one we're going to get to in a few minutes where someone's going to beat the other one's ass, and it happens, and vice versa. But for some reason, the Iron Bowl, there's always some crazy shit that happens.
Yeah,
always some crazy shit. I like Alabama. I'd like Kalen DeBoer to shut that fan base up. I think that would make me actually feel kind of good because I don't like the fan base. But at the same time, I wouldn't put it past Auburn to do some crazy shit.
We talked about the Commonwealth Cup with Virginia and Virginia Tech. We both like Virginia in that game. The Tennessee showdown between the Vols and Vandy. Tennessee sitting at 8-3, Vanderbilt 9-2, their most successful season in decades right now. But I like Tennessee to hold serve and dash Vanderbilt's playoff hopes in this one, with it being in Knoxville.
Give me Vandy. For one simple reason: the power of the MILF. Am I wrong for saying it? Or am I wrong that it's going to matter?
I'm here so I won't get fined.
I knew you were going to Marshawn, you asshole.
This will be a big one tomorrow. This might be the marquee game of the afternoon. And it is LSU at 7-4 going into Norman in this more upstart rivalry since Oklahoma joined the SEC. LSU leads this rivalry 3-1 so far in the 4 years since the transfer, and Oklahoma looking to get to the playoff for the first time since Baker Mayfield was there, at sitting at 9-2. This might be, honestly, Michael, I got a feeling this one could be the game of the day because of everything riding on it.
I think so too. You know what? No, I don't think it's going to be the game of the day. I think that Brent Venables is getting his team to the playoff, and they're going to beat the piss out of LSU. Listen, his defense is playing good, and John Mateer is finally starting to turn back into John Mateer that was there at the beginning of the year before the injury. So if he plays like he did the beginning of the year, they're getting in.
Oregon and Washington. Washington sitting at 8-3. Oregon at 10-1. We talked about all the ramifications with Oregon earlier. This one will be in Olympia, and Michael, I don't see how Dan Lanning lets his foot off the gas this year.
I don't either. The only thing I will say about this is Washington runs an offense much like Indiana does. They don't run it as well as Fernando Mendoza does in Bloomington, but they run a very similar type offense. Lanning's defense has shown some holes this year. And I'm not saying that they're going to show it here. I'm mainly saying if any offense can really take advantage of some of the holes that Oregon's defense has had, Washington's the type of offense that can do it. I don't think they win the game, but I do think this is closer than most people are giving it credit for.
There's part of me that agrees. That's why I think why I say this could be the best game of the day, because I got a feeling this one's going to turn into an absolute track meet. I don't think it's going to be one of those the team with the ball last is going to win it, but I got a feeling you're going to see a lot of offense here and not a whole lot of defense.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a shootout. And the one thing Washington could do is force a shootout. I don't know if they can win a shootout against Oregon. Oregon's proven that they can win ugly when they went to Iowa, and they can score points. So let's see what happens.
Commonwealth Cup, It's an afterthought. 3-8 Florida against the very disappointing Florida State squad. I mean, Florida State we talked about last week with Mike Norvell getting his contract extension, and then Florida now Lane Kiffin completely out of the running with that. He took his name out of that job earlier today, after their Egg Bowl win. Mike, excuse me, as a Florida fan, I don't care.
It's sad that it's gotten to that point with this rivalry because I remember for years, and it was the Steve Spurrier, Bobby Bowden years where this game had some serious fucking juice to it. It's lost that luster. I hope the next coach at Florida can bring it back. But yeah, this one, it has no implications. It's just one of those old rivalry games that we used to like watching back in the day.
Yeah.
Where is it? Is it in Gainesville or is it in Tallahassee?
It is in Gainesville this year, and the talk is that now that he's taken his name out, ESPN put up a list of some of the candidates. They said the top 5 candidates are Tulane coach John Sumrall, Washington head coach Jed Fish, Lincoln Riley, Jeff Brom at Louisville, and Brent Key at Georgia Tech. They also said for some reason they need to try to maintain the turnover machine DJ Lagway, so that one makes absolutely no sense. I don't see a scenario where Brent Key leaves Georgia Tech. I could see Jeff Brom possibly leaving Louisville. Lincoln Riley's not going to. What would he rather do? Would he rather be in Pasadena, or would he rather go down to the SEC in a rebuilding program?
Yeah, he's staying at USC. Well, here's what I can't stand. And for me to say these words wearing the colors I am, you got to know it's there. The arrogance of these SEC schools. I know the majority of my fan base is very arrogant. I understand that. And there are times I welcome it. There are times, me, I want to smack the shit out of these people just like you do. But to think Lincoln Riley would leave USC after leaving Oklahoma for USC, where he went to the playoff 3 times between Kyler, Baker, and Jalen Hurts, had another one where he could have had another possible Heisman Trophy winner in Caleb Downs, who ended up going to USC with him and winning a Heisman. No. Lincoln Riley, take him off that fucking list.
Yeah, I think out of that list, I think Jeff Brom in Louisville is the most appealing candidate, because I don't think Jed Fish leaves Washington. I think he's still got a good thing there, and then there's no way that they dip back into the Group of 5 pool and go after John Sumrall with Tulane like they did, and with the chaos and the absolute backfire that was Billy Napier 3 years ago.
I think you're right. Honestly, I think the Louisville coach is the best bet. I don't know if you saw that Washington State hired Alabama's co-offensive coordinator, new head coach today.
Yes.
Not Washington State. I'm sorry, Oregon State. So the Beavers have a new head man.
But then again, we also have to remember that next year we've got the reformed Pac-12, so it's just a formality. It's essentially like the Mountain West, reforming at this point, now being called the Pac-12, as they're going to that group. Now it's coming back to the Group of 5 or Group of 6 or whatever you want to call it now.
Yeah, it's basically just the Mountain West is moving over, and I don't think the Pac-12 is going to make it a Group of 5 again. It's going to be the Group of 4, or no, I'm sorry, not going to be the 4 power. There's only going to be 4 power conferences. They would be a Group of 5. It'd be a Group of 5 now.
Right.
Like you said, I don't think anything gets them back into the big guys. Not with the entire conference that made them a power conference, either in the Big 10 or the SEC now.
Or the Big 12. Yeah.
Or the ACC with fucking Cal.
Exactly. Yeah. So
they're all fucking place.
Couple more here. We alluded to it a moment ago. We both think that BYU is going to roll UCF and Provo tomorrow.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's no.
We already picked Texas Tech to win in Morgantown against West Virginia. West Virginia coming in at 4-7, 2-6 in the Big 12. This is a formality. It's just all a matter of how much rest that the Raiders want to give some starters. Once we go to the fourth quarter to be able to tune up for for the trip to Dallas next week.
I think that would be smart too. You're seeing some injuries in the last couple weeks for a lot of these big teams. I don't know what's going on with the game because I turned ESPN off. Cavs are up 2, by the way. Donovan's gone off. He's about to hit 40 again. Sorry about the interruption of the college football talk, but the Cavs are playing.
And then before we get into the one that Mike wants to get into here, the Miami Pitt game is very interesting. Miami's sitting at 9-2, a win, and I think even if they lose in the conference championship game, I think they still have an outside shot to get in. Pitt can't get in, sitting at 8-3, but Pitt right now at 6-1, hosting this game. I got a feeling though it's going to be a very bad week to be a football team playing in Acrisure Stadium in Pittsburgh because I think Miami's going to win this game against Pitt, and I think Buffalo's going to roll in there and stomp the Steelers on Sunday.
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right. I don't think it. There's really not much else I can add to what you just said, dude.
So, against my better judgment, Michael, you have the floor for the next few minutes. 12 noon, Ohio State, ranked number 1, undefeated, again against 9-2 Michigan. That it's gotten them. They're only 7-1 in the Big Ten. They mathematically cannot get to Indianapolis. Well,
They can. If they win tomorrow, they go to Indianapolis because Oregon lost to Indiana.
yeah, but if Oregon wins tomorrow, Oregon's already there because they've still got more. They've still got the better overall record. Even though Michigan has the tiebreaker, Oregon has
that's
the better
true.
overall record, so they've got the tiebreaker. So Michigan's only
True.
way to get there is
Okay.
for Oregon to lose, and they need to win. And then we've got a Michigan Indiana Big Ten championship game. So the scenarios are as follows: Indiana's already there. Ohio State wins, they're there. If Ohio State loses and Oregon wins, Oregon gets the bid regardless of what Michigan does. And then Ohio State has to lose, Oregon has to lose, and naturally with Michigan by default winning that game, Michigan then goes to Indianapolis. So those are the only 3 scenarios with Indiana now already opening the second half up 28-3.
Yeah. So let's dive into tomorrow. Look, I have talked a lot of shit on this show about this game. I have talked a lot of shit in my personal life about this game. And I don't mean today, I mean in general. I am going to say this. This is the most nervous I've gone into this game since 2018. Little history lesson. It took Ohio State 3 overtimes to beat Maryland the week before this game in 2018, when, of course, they hosted Michigan at the Horseshoe. Dwayne Haskins puts up the greatest quarterback performance in this rivalry's history, and they drop 62 on the number 1 defense in the country. That's not going to happen tomorrow. Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith are both banged up. Could not happen at a worse time. Ohio State's run game is suspect. So I'm a little nervous going into tomorrow, Jim, and I'm not saying I don't believe in my boys, but I am nervous. Here's where I still have more belief than not. Michigan's faced 2 good defenses this year. They've done absolute jack shit against them. They faced a good defense at USC, and they faced a better defense at Oklahoma, and they lost both games. They have not faced anybody good at home this year. So now, and by the way, they faced a good defense at Northwestern and struggled there too. So that's where I have some hope for tomorrow. Ryan Day is a different coach this year. If you haven't, I know you don't pay attention. Ryan Day is not coaching like his life is on the line
Of
anymore.
course, he got his ring last year, so he's off the hook for at least 2.
Agreed. Now, winning this game for the first time since 2019, especially after the debacle that was last year, because last year wasn't on Michigan being a better team. Last year was on Ohio State had a dog shit game plan. They had dog shit execution. Look, if Julian Sayin comes out tomorrow and does what he did against Texas and all these other teams before they open up the playbook, and he doesn't make mistakes, and he gets the ball to the guys who need to get the ball to, Ohio State's going to win this game by 2 scores. They're just a better team. Here's the problem. Julian Sayin has, unless they're playing full speed in practice, Julian Sayin hasn't seen a defense like this. Michigan's defense is damn good. It's going to come down to that. Everybody talks about line of scrimmage, this, in the trenches. Fuck that. If the Buckeyes play their game and are able to do it, they're going to win this game. Where I have hope that they use their fucking brains, and what no one's talking about with this is Matt Patricia against a rookie quarterback. What did Matt Patricia do in New England against rookie quarterbacks? By the way, New England's not a college for those who don't pay attention. New England's the NFL. Matt Patricia's Super Bowl rings.
Thank you for clarifying that, because if Michigan wins this game, you're going to have 50,000 pissed off, pizza delivery people in that stadium.
What's most likely, and with the Ohio State fan base as big as it is, there might be 50,000 pizza delivery people just in general.
But you are right. It's like,
hell with the way things are going.
Ohio State's got a really good offense, but again, they've got to run. They're running a rookie quarterback in insane as well. But the thing is that Ohio State,
true.
I've said it all season long. The only team that they played that was really worth a damn was Texas, and we had no idea that Arch Manning was going to be this overrated. They played some good teams, but Michigan's got the best defense by far of any team in the country that they are going to face, and they have gotten them. Connor Stallions, Jim Harbaugh, take all that and throw that out the window. They have won this game the last 4 years because they have punched Ohio State's O-line and their passing game in the mouth. And I got a feeling if they rattle Saints Cage early, this could be a very long day for him.
It could be, but on the flip side, you punch Underwood in the mouth.
Oh, I completely agree. Michigan's offense isn't nearly as good as the last few years where they ran all over Ohio State and had the game plan. And then McCarthy, had the good game 2 years ago against them. And then the defense just completely shut everything down. Michigan's got the ability. If Michigan's going to win this game, they have to play that typical Michigan defense late in the season that they've been known for about the last decade, and just be they need to play Matt Hasselbeck ball. You're going to win it with your Legion of Boom defense, and you just need to be serviceable enough on offense to get a couple of scoring drives, because you know that you're going to be able to push Ohio State around on offense all you want. Tate and Smith are going to get their touches. They're going to get their targets. But the thing is that Michigan also, everyone talks about Michigan's pass rush, but Michigan's also got some of the best corners and over-the-top safety help in the country. So those guys are going to get their catches, but they're going to make sure that they're not able to go over the top to get those big gains and keep it manageable. I don't have a problem actually saying Michigan putting 7 in the box and then letting some of these guys go one-on-one and then getting the over-the-top help and play. I don't want to almost kind of keep everybody in front of you in the passing game while we actually, try to obliterate up the middle in the trenches, which they've got the full ability to do.
They do. I will say this, their offensive line has had some problems this year in pass protection. They have been running the ball effectively, but they're on their third running back because they have had some injuries, just like Ohio State's had with the last couple of weeks without.
Yeah, but also remember Michigan did win this game a couple of years ago with Mike Bell, who is basically a third string running back as well, and he torched them for almost 300 yards.
Yeah, they did. No, you're absolutely right. Now, here's where I'm going to say I think Ohio State is a little bit more of an advantage. It's on the defensive side of the ball going against Michigan's offense. Because like Ohio State hasn't seen a defense like Michigan yet. Michigan hasn't seen a defense like this. With a guy not only in Arvell Reese that can plug the middle, he can run Underwood down. That's how quick he is. The defensive line has done really good at making teams one-dimensional. And I think what Matt Patricia is going to try and do is make Bryce Underwood beat them. I think you're talking about stacking 7 in the box and letting Michigan's corners take over. I think that's how Ohio State's got to play this game. They have got to they have got to make Bryce Underwood beat them. Because if that's the case, it could look like what Cincinnati did last in a couple of minutes.
Yeah. I was just thinking that. I was just thinking you make the guy beat you with his arm, because if he can certainly beat you with his legs. And yeah, we'll talk about him in a couple of minutes.
Agreed. So wrapping it up, I think Ohio State pulls this one out. I just think it's a different team than last year. Last year's team was searching for an identity, and winning that game they thought would give them the identity. I think this team has the identity, and they're going to go out and they want to win this game. They're tired of hearing your national championship's not real because you didn't beat Michigan. To that, I say that then that means anytime anybody didn't beat their rival and won a championship, i.e., did anybody say that about Alabama when they lost to Auburn a few years ago?
Understandable, yeah, but I mean,
I know.
Bold prediction for tomorrow.
Buckeyes are able to run the ball. Bold prediction is Bo Jackson goes for 100+ yards. He's done it against bullshit teams all year. He did it against Penn State. Now, all the BS notwithstanding, Penn State has multiple NFL players in that defense. And he played really well. And I think the other thing, too, is I think Hartline is going to call a better game than Chip Kelly did. The guy who left for $6 million a year. And
I was just going to say, he goes from coordinating a national championship run to being basically sitting home in a span of 14 months.
Hold on. What happens if Hartline gets Penn State and Chip Kelly ends up back in the box in Columbus?
Okay. Can we not do that right now?
I'm with you. That would be, come on. If next year your two coordinators are Matt Patricia and Chip Kelly, that's borderline stupid.
Couple of very quick updates. Texas has gone ahead 13-10 on A&M as they just scored a touchdown. 7:12 left to go in the third quarter, and Indiana has just gone up 35-3 against Purdue.
And by the way, A&M's quarterback is back in. So he is playing. Cavs lose by 7 in Cleveland, 130-123, effectively ending their run at the NBA Cup.
That's actually not, because now it's 3 losses in a row for them. It's like, it's the dumbest idea ever. I even put this in the blog when I talked about the Pistons yesterday. It's the NBA Cup is probably, it is the NBA's equivalent of stupid moves like trying to put hockey in Arizona.
I'm with you.
When the Lakers actually have a court injunction filed to stop from using that court. Did you see that story?
No, and I don't fucking care.
There were so many players slipping on the specially designed court that a court had to file an injunction to keep them from using the specially designed NBA Cup court. So they have to play on their regular light gold standard court for their final game tonight in the Cup.
Wow.
Yeah.
No one cares. So we see we get to the other pigskin there, James.
Arizona has also gone up 7-0 on Arizona State's gone up 7-0 in that one.
Quietly a top 25 matchup.
Real quick, my bold prediction is that if Michigan somehow comes out and wins this game, I think the committee makes an example of Ohio State and not only drops them out of a bye, but they give them the toughest first-round matchup, even if they're hosting that game a game that they would have the full potential to lose, because this would be 5 straight years of losing to your rival and no conference championship game. I think the committee makes an example of them with a loss tomorrow.
Oh, you mean so they get the 8-9 game?
And I wouldn't be and if in a perfect world, they'd be the 9 having to go on the road for that game.
Okay.
It's not gonna happen. They're not gonna drop them 8 spots, but you can make an argument for it.
You could. And on the other side, you could make an argument that they were not the same argument could be made for an SEC team that lost a game they weren't supposed to. Well, they were number 1 all year. They just had a bad day. I wouldn't make that argument.
We're not gonna talk about their coach.
No. It's like Bruno.
You know what's funny is if Texas holds serve and Ohio State loses tomorrow, Indiana could be the number 1 seed going in.
Now, listen, if Ohio State gets it done tomorrow and loses in Indianapolis, they're gonna be the number 1 seed going in. Do we understand if these two teams hold serve tomorrow, what we are going to see in Indianapolis next Saturday night? That's 1 versus 2 in a conference championship game. Never happened in the SEC.
I mean, think about if the dominoes fall the way that they do before we shift to the NFL here in a second. Ohio State loses tomorrow, or Indiana wins against Ohio State next week in Indianapolis. You're going to have you're going to have Indiana as 1. If A&M holds serve, they could be the 2 with a win next week. Worst case, if Texas holds serve, you could have possibly Texas Tech be the 2.
You could. If it
goes, are we living in?
Well, here's the thing. If it goes that way, and let's say my boys get done tomorrow, Indiana's going to finish it off the Oaken Bucket tonight. Tech wins the Big 12, and Bama wins the SEC. You're 1 through 4, Indiana, A&M, Tech, and I think and Bama, and Ohio State's the 5, which means Ohio State would get the winner of the group of 5 in Columbus. This thing could go total fucking chaos on us in the next 2 weeks. It's going to be fun. It's going to be an absolute fucking trip, because remember, we go next Sunday after the conference championship games and after the brackets announced.
Yep, because all the conference championship games will be on Saturday, and then the pairings will be out earlier in the afternoon.
Yeah, at noontime, I know the selection thing is with the final bracket being displayed right before the 1 o'clock NFL games start.
Because also remember, the Big 12 championship game is always held on Friday night.
Yeah. I would say
that will be a week from tonight.
Yeah, and the group of 5 games are on Friday too. So dude, our show next Sunday is gonna be fucking insanity.
I think the American, I think they've actually started pushing that to Saturday. That's like a noon game on Saturday.
Which one was Mountain West is on Friday night? Because Boise won the conference on Friday night last year.
Okay, so looking at the schedule, ahead for next week, Mountain West is going to be next Friday. Conference USA will be next Friday. Sun Belt will be next Friday, and the American will be next Friday. So we will have our group of 5 basically decided. Saturday we'll have Big 12, MAC, SEC, ACC, and then the Big 10 will be the late game. Well, the ACC and the Big 10 will be at 8. SEC will be at 4. MAC, Western Michigan's already penciled in for that one. As the host school. Actually, that one's going to be at Ford Field in Detroit. So Western Michigan's getting that one, and then the Big 12 will be at noon next Saturday.
Yeah, I would say the MAC one is always in Detroit. Even when it was a Silverdome, it was in Detroit.
So we shift to the big boys now, and we had a full slate of really good games, even though I didn't even bother to watch any of them, but I did keep up with them. So Green Bay goes into Detroit and gets the job done. And with Chicago's win today, which we'll talk about here in a moment, the Packers are starting to see things slip away a little bit. Not the Packers, the Lions.
Yeah. Here's the thing: do the Lions ever beat the Packers on Thanksgiving?
I mean, I can't think of the last. I know that they won last year on Thanksgiving, but it's like they've
They
gotten
didn't
a
play the
lot
Packers
better,
last year.
but they still can't win on Thanksgiving for some reason.
No, no, they can't. And let me tell you something right now. Jordan Love played amazing yesterday. We actually watched a good chunk of that game, the majority of the Dallas Kansas City game, and I didn't catch any of the nightcap because we were just so wiped out. Um, and I shared a bed with the kid last night because he didn't want anything to do with his mom for whatever reason. My back is killing me. But yeah, so I saw the first two, really good. Lions Packers every Thanksgiving is a game and a half. It's so good. Um,
With the win, the Packers moved to 8-3-1, and they are now right now sitting in the sixth spot, barring what Seattle does tomorrow, so they could be up as high as the five spot in that division. They're still a game and a half behind the Bears, who won today. And again, we'll talk about that in a moment. Detroit is sitting on the outside, a game behind San Francisco. San Francisco sitting at 8-4. The Lions are 7-5. So the Lions, for we thought the last couple of years could represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. They are sitting on the outside looking in.
yeah, and I don't know what it is. You know, maybe it is losing both their coordinators. Maybe it's Chicago being a year ahead. And Ben Johnson has been amazing in Chicago because Caleb Williams actually looks like a good quarterback now. No
The
disrespect, Alex, but
the mid-afternoon game, we had Dallas hosting the Kansas City Great Googly Moogleys, and Dallas comes away with a surprising win in Dallas. They go to 6-5-1, and what right as we thought when Dallas was going to be dead, oh, don't look now. They are sitting in the 9 spot, and they're only a game and a half out of that final playoff spot, trying to run down San Francisco as well. But more importantly, if you go to the AFC, Chiefs looking for 4 straight Super Bowl appearances. The Chiefs are now 6-6, and they are sitting on the outside. They are a full game back of Buffalo and Jacksonville, and the Chargers, who are all tied at 7-4 for that final wild card spot. And they do hold the tiebreaker over Baltimore, with Baltimore's loss last night as well. So it puts the Steelers right now, for the moment, a half game in first place. Now, if the Steelers lose tomorrow, that's going to put Baltimore back atop the division and put the Steelers out with 5 games to go after with this. But Kansas City is in real trouble because they have a very tough stretch. They've still got another game against Denver. They still have to play the Chargers again.
let me say this: when your secondary can't cover anybody without holding them or getting a PI call, you're not going to win. That game yesterday was not on the Kansas City offense. It was not. I think the only play that I would question is Travis dropped the ball on a slant pattern in the middle of the field. They scored on the next play. So it really didn't matter. Here's the bottom line. Kansas City's defense can be had if you have good wideouts. Pickens and CeeDee Lamb went the fuck off yesterday. I will say this. There were a couple of times they got DPIs when it should have been OPI.
Yeah, I did see the one call from the marker cam that they've started going to.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a couple that were a little bit insane. Pickens got away with 2 that I know of for sure. But having said that, listen, Kansas City did not play well yesterday. Defensively, I thought the offense played pretty good, but defensively, Kansas City was horrible. They couldn't stop a fucking nosebleed yesterday. They needed one stop. One stop, they couldn't get it.
And then in an AFC North matchup, Joe Burrow returns after missing 9 games with that foot injury, and looks like he picked up exactly where he left off as the Bengals roll over Baltimore. The Bengals go to 4-8, even though their season is done. There's a lot of people saying, why did Burrow even play in this game? They have nothing further to play for. They can't get to the playoffs. They're basically mathematically eliminated. They're just trying to stay ahead of Cleveland for the cellar in the division when it's all said and done. The Ravens, this hurt them a lot more because, as we talked about, it dropped them from the 4 seed all the way down to the 10 spot. So again, they're actually they're sitting back having to scoreboard watch what's going on with their hated rivals in Pittsburgh tomorrow.
Lamar was terrible last night. That's really the takeaway there. I don't know if it was his injury. I don't know if it was Cincinnati's defense actually playing. I don't know what it was. But for them to only score 14 points against a defense that you and I have sat here and looked at and gone, are you playing people this year? That's terrible. And for Baltimore's defense to just be that terrible at home, what the hell happened? Do you see Burrow has to take his cleat off between every single drive? And he has to put a sneaker with an orthotic on. And then he puts the spikes back on when he's ready to go out onto the field again. I mean,
there's part of me that feels though, like one or two losses, and they would shut him down for the rest of the year and just let him get right and avoid kind of doing damage going into next year.
And they should. They absolutely should, because this is going to be a make or break offseason for the Cincinnati Bengals. They need to shore up that defense and that line in order to keep him healthy.
And then we go to a big one today in Philadelphia. The defending champion Eagles drop one rather convincingly to the Chicago Bears. And Mike, don't look now. The Bears are 9-3. The Eagles are 8-4. The Bears right now in the NFC would be the 2 seed. And with a Rams loss tomorrow, the Bears would be the top seed in the NFC.
I'd like to know what other signs of the apocalypse we missed. I really would. Because even the Bears fan didn't see this shit coming.
It's really nice to see. And then you already hearing the, all the boos at Lincoln Financial during the, as early as the first series.
Yeah. Normally when Philly fans boo like this, I have a problem with it because Philly fans are worse than New York fans. They should have started booing yesterday. This Philadelphia offense is terrible. I want to know what happened. Did they overuse Saquon last year? Is he tired? What is the line just beaten up that bad? I don't get it. I don't get it. It's like they got pissed off that everybody wanted the tush push to go away, and that's the only fucking play they run right.
Yeah.
I don't know. Side note, New Heights tailgated today at the link. Jason Kelsey is this year's belly push challenge winner. A sumo wrestling type setting. I don't remember the actual name of it, but he won whatever it was.
We're going to run through the rest of the slate here very, very quickly. 1 p.m. in Carolina. The Rams will face the Panthers. The Rams are a 10-point favorite in this game.
I think they win going away.
1 p.m. at Lucas Oil Stadium. The Texans will travel to Indy to face the Colts. The Colts right now favored by 3.5. And don't get me wrong, this one's got all the makings of a good one because Indianapolis, I'm not saying they're coming back down to earth, but Houston is getting red hot right now. And this is a very big matchup in that division.
Is CJ Stroud playing tomorrow?
I believe he's been cleared. Yes. I think that's why this ESPN announced earlier today that he will return. And I think that's why this line is only 3.5, because if he doesn't play, we're looking at least a touchdown.
If he's right and the defense shows up the way they did last week, they win this game, and I think they can come back and get back in the playoffs.
1 p.m. at Nissan Stadium, the Jaguars will travel to Tennessee to play the Titans. The Jaguars are a 6-point favorite on the road.
Breaks my heart that Sunshine's going back to the playoffs, but so be it.
1 p.m. at the Pirate Ship, the Buccaneers will host the Arizona Cardinals. Tampa favored 4.5, as they've actually seen their lead in the NFC South basically dissipate.
Thank God Baker's healthy again. Baker's not hurt worse than what we thought it was going to be. But if they could keep anybody healthy, that'd be shocking to me.
Our prison inmate game of the week, the hapless New Orleans Saints will travel to Miami to play the Dolphins at 1 p.m. The Dolphins are 5.5-point favorites because they are on a one-game winning streak.
And they'll cover because New Orleans, no Chris Olave, no one other player wasn't going to play. Nobody gives a shit. So, yeah.
The penultimate prison inmate game of the week, the Falcons will travel to the Meadowlands to face the Jets at 1 p.m. The Falcons are favored by 2.5 on the road.
Seems like a small amount of points for what the Falcons are going to do to the Jets.
We talk about small amount of points. The 4:00 games, we have Minnesota traveling to Quest Field to play the Seahawks. This is the largest spread of the week. Seattle favored by 11.5.
Well, the Sam Darnold Bowl, as we're going to call it for today, should be very interesting. I think Seattle's defense is going to make J.J. McCarthy look pedestrian at best.
4:25 p.m. at SoFi Stadium, the Chargers will host the Raiders. Chargers favored by 9.5. I'm trying to figure out why this is not at least 15 right now. Because the Raiders are, because the Raiders still have 2 wins. The Titans have 1, and the Raiders are the worst team in professional football in this on this continent. There are CFL teams right now that have more talent than the Raiders.
Because like Jim Harbaugh teams, when they don't know the other team's playbook, they play down to their competition, and the Raiders may win this game.
The key one in the AFC, I've alluded to it a couple of times, at Acrisure Stadium, 4:25 p.m. The Buffalo Bills, fresh off of their upset loss to the Texans on Thursday Night Football last week, will play the Steelers. Buffalo favored by 3, even though it was mentioned earlier today that both starting tackles will be out for this game.
Well, that's because Old Man River's playing. That's why it's only 3. If it was, the chick from the Facts of Life,
You're an asshole.
Am I wrong?
For the late game tomorrow, Washington will host Denver, and Denver favored 5.5 in this game. I'm actually surprised it's not more.
Yeah, me too. With no Jaden Daniels. Yeah, no.
And Denver on an 8-game winning streak.
Yeah, Denver by a bunch.
And the Monday night game, New England inching ever closer to the AFC East championship, a 7.5-point favorite against the Giants.
They get Jackson Dart back, which is nice. I hope Jameis is playing tight end tomorrow or Monday night, because that was one of the greatest things I've ever seen. But outside of that, the Giants season's over.
And our last game of the day, at 1 p.m. at Huntington Bank Field in Cleveland, the 49ers will travel to face the Browns. The 49ers only a 4.5-point favorite in this game. The line on this game has come down quite a bit, and I think it's a lot of people looking to take sucker bets with Shadur Sanders having his first home start tomorrow. After, let's be honest, he looked pedestrian at times last Sunday. We talked about it. He did bring a lot of excitement. I think what's more likely to happen, the Browns cover in this game, or Myles Garrett, breaks the NFL sack record because he's only 4 away?
I think the Browns are going to win.
outright.
Yes,
I don't see it
I do,
because it's
because
supposed to be. It's even go ahead.
San Francisco's offense is terrible.
It is terrible, and the weather here is supposed to stink, but I think there is still way much more talent on the offensive side of the ball for the I mean, this is going to be San Francisco has a very good offense in terms of talent. Cleveland's just got a really good defense, and this is actually this is a building block game if you're the Browns. As long as you don't get run off the field and make it look like Sanders last week was a flash in the pan, you might be able to build something here going forward to where you may not need to take a quarterback in the first round next year.
I think in his second start, he's not going to be up here. If he's somewhere in here, that defense is good enough to win that game. Purdy has not played well. If Mac Jones comes in, Mac Jones has played okay. But the bottom line is this: that team, for the first time in a long time, is energized. And that's, that says a lot about what this team felt about the direction it was going in before last week. Because, yes, it was the Raiders, and I understand that. And the defense had 10 sacks. Well, guess what? The left tackle in front of Myles Garrett is coming off an injury. Trent Williams has not been himself this year. And Purdy can be had. The question is, can the Browns back end hold down the very good receiving core of the San Francisco 49ers? I think they can. Purdy's not going to have time to throw the ball. And San Francisco's defense has been good this year. Robert Saleh is back calling the defense in that team again. Of course, he was the D coordinator, the first Super Bowl run under Shanahan. They're not as deep as they used to be. Is Nick Bosa even playing?
I don't think so.
Dude, if Nick Bosa is not playing, I think the Browns can win this game outright.
This also the other storyline is the star pass rushers with the rumors surrounding their love lives, because it was now reported that Nick Bosa has been linked to former Olympic gold medalist gymnast I'm sorry, that was Michaela Maroney. He's been linked to Megan Maroney, and Myles Garrett went public with his relationship on Sunday with an Olympic gold medalist.
Do we expect anything else out of Myles?
So Myles Garrett is officially dating Olympic snowboard gold medalist Chloe Kim as she's getting ready to defend her gold medal at the Turin Olympics coming up here in 2 months' time.
Well, I mean, he lives in the perfect spot to go to the Winter Olympics because they won't be playing.
That is very, very true.
And that's not me taking a shot. That's just it's just honest.
Just
look at he's used to the cold.
Look at the storylines in that with the relationships on the line with the high profile defensive ends. The fact that there's a lot of people with scuttlebutt saying that, could Mac Jones end up being on the Browns next year? If with the cleaning house of the quarterback room that you may end up having at this particular point. The fact that Kyle Shanahan was the offensive coordinator here, there were people still clamoring that they should have hired him as a head coach, once upon a time, and it never happened because of his ties to the area. So there's a lot of storylines. The weather is again supposed to stink here. There were parts of Northeast Ohio that got upwards of a foot of snow yesterday. There's another front coming through later tomorrow. It's going to make for a relatively messy field on Sunday afternoon. So it's going to be entertaining. We hope
it will be.
It's not going to be fun to watch, but it should be entertaining.
It will be entertaining. And here's what people need to remember. The Browns have a better ground game.
As great as
I think
CMC is, but yeah, there's also
they win, Jim.
what the Browns need to do is they also need to kind of get something. Their biggest focus for the offseason should not be the quarterback. It needs to be the offensive line because very, very quickly they have stunted the growth of Quinshawn Judkins because he can't get through a hole right now.
No, he can't. And I'll be honest with you. I don't care if they don't think they have the guy in the building. You cannot. I repeat, you cannot go QB in round 1 next year. You have to go offensive lineman. If Shador wins, what do they got? San Francisco, then who?
Tennessee next week.
Browns remaining schedule. San Francisco, Tennessee, at the Bears. Home for the Bills, home for the Steelers, at Cincinnati. If they win 3 games, if they get to 5 wins, or 6, it would be 6 wins now. If they get to 6-11 and Shador's under center, you take offensive line every big pick you have. Because then you have the running back. You'd have a serviceable quarterback. I would fling Jerry Jeudy into the lake.
I'll say
Not a
this
bad
much
idea.
right now: win or lose tomorrow, if they lose next week at home against the hapless Titans, Stefanski's gone. I don't
He
care
needs to.
what anybody says. He's gone.
He is gone. He is
Because at
absolutely.
that point, you would have lost to the Jets and the Titans in the same year.
I don't think they lose to the Titans. And by the way, they went to the quarterback he didn't want and had to beat the Raiders.
It's almost Hugh Jackson-esque, isn't it?
It really is. Really
Um,
is.
Before we get ready to get out of here tonight, and we get to the translator, 2 more quick pieces of information. Condolences to the family of Utah Mammoth star forward Logan Cooley, who unexpectedly lost his dad yesterday.
Oh,
He passed away in his sleep, and then Cooley decides he's going to play today's game and goes out and scores a goal in the first period.
yeah. Oh, that's rough.
And then, very controversial figure, but former 2-time major champion Fuzzy Zeller passes away at 74 yesterday. Very entertaining character, but we all remember his career and everything about him is going to be marred for the racial Tiger Woods joke at the Masters that one year.
Yeah, that was after he won the first one. That was 98. That's sad. But yeah. That stuff follows you.
So, Michael,
James, there's only one thing left to do.
Would you shut up and just push the button already?
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
It's the YZ Translator on the Wise Guys Sports Show.
I'm forever unclean.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is the YZ Translator, the best segment of the night because it is the last segment of the night. It is the time when James and I give each other names in and out of the sports world, and the first thing that pops into our head is what we tell you. But it has spawned the best part of the segment, the YZ Chronicle, the moment where James gives the heading for this evening's translator, and normally I am in stitches by the time I read it. If you haven't seen it yet, the new supercut is up and it is hysterical. James, if you would. Truer words have never been spoken, sir.
That's the one thing I miss about COVID shutting the world down is that you notice nobody opens up on Thanksgiving anymore, regardless of who they are, unless you're like a gas station. That was
Mhm.
my favorite thing of leaving my mom's at 9, 10 o'clock at night is just driving up to. There's a Target in Old Navy. There used to be a Walmart. So there are like 3 or 4 major outfitters within the half a mile it takes me to go from her place to my place. And I would just drive up and down the parking lot, just literally pointing at people laughing as they're lining up outside to be able to get in the door.
I'm going to go back even further to when we were in college and I was working at Dick's Sporting Goods and starting at 4 a.m. The 2 years that I was there, that was the stupidest fucking thing I ever did.
So we're only going to run one name each tonight.
Name
Because
each
of the shorter show. We'll be back with you guys, fully fledged here in a couple of weeks. But we're going to go with we're going to flip things up. And Michael, I'm going to give the first name tonight. And your name in the YZ Translator this evening, we're going to go back to the NFL and we're going to talk about the hottest team in football right now. And if it wasn't for Myles Garrett, this gentleman would probably get serious consideration for Defensive Player of the Year. And that would be likely to be named to a yet another Pro Bowl. Denver Broncos quarterback Patrick Surtain II.
It really begs the question, who is the better cover corner, him or his daddy? He's so good. He's so good. Good God, he's phenomenal.
He's returning tomorrow after missing several games. He's missed the last 3 with a partially torn pectoral. So it's got to be you figure that's what should have put Baker Mayfield on the shelf, and it was in his non-throwing hand. Imagine a guy coming back after missing 3 weeks with this, wearing all kinds of harnesses. We remember a month ago or 6 weeks ago when I was wearing a harness on this show for spraining mine, and he's got to go out and tackle he's got to go out and tackle players with a very good Washington receiving core on Sunday.
Yeah, it reminds you of Rocky IV when he's getting beat on by a Drago and he just keeps saying no pain. It's basically what you got to do with this one here. But my hat's off to him. Phenomenal cover corner. And yes, he will Pro Bowl and All Pro again. James, to wrap up this evening's short version of the translator. Tonight we go back to college football, and your name tonight is who the fuck knows head coach Lane Kiffin.
He takes his name out of the Florida job. God knows what other openings are going to be out there. He'd be stupid to leave Mississippi at this point, but at this particular point, with all the talk about there's no way he can come back at this point. He's lame duck.
He is.
He's going. We call it, his name is Lane Kiffin. We might as well call him lame duck, and that's not to say that he's going to end up on Dan Lanning's staff or take over for him at this point. But here's a guy who's going to host a first round game, or at least his school is going to host a first round game in 3 or 4 weeks' time. Is he even going to be around the program to coach that game at this point?
See, that's the thing. But you know what? He may stay. Who knows? But
you think he's going to try and leverage for a contract extension the way that Drink and Vandy signed for 6-year deals in the last 24 hours?
No, this reeks more of Harbaugh in the NFL with Michigan than it does anything else.
You think he's going to be in line for an NFL job?
No. I think he's going to leverage it to get the extension from Ole Miss that he wants.
Well,
Harbaugh leveraged his long-term extension by saying, "Oh, I can go to the NFL whenever I want." Kiffin could do the same thing with saying, "Hey, LSU is going to pay me a shit ton of money, or this one's going to pay me a shit ton of money. I want to stay here."
But let's now play devil's advocate, being in all seriousness, because Harbaugh had coaching experience at the NFL, knew he was going to get broken off in college, and has actually turned the Chargers back into a winning program. So we know he's got the chops. Could we see? Is there a building? I don't want to say groundswell, but is there a building and budding idea that maybe Lane Kiffin could end up taking over one of these openings, whether it be the Giants, possibly New Orleans, possibly Atlanta, if things fall through? Could the Browns be looking in that direction? Could he end?
You
I mean,
said
at
it.
the very worst, he could end up as an offensive coordinator. But do you think he's also got enough chops and moxie to be able to be able to jump to the NFL?
Where did Jackson Dart go to school?
I agree with that, but do you think that New York is going to really throw a guy who's never been a head coach at the pro level?
He
Dable,
was.
Brian Dable was a very, very established coordinator. He's just never worked out as a head coach.
Lane
He's
Kiffin
been
went
in
at the
interim
Raiders.
roles, but Kiffin's only ever coached college players. He's never been on an NFL staff.
Kiffin was the head coach of the Raiders.
I always forget that because everyone forgets with the Raiders with their carousel of coaches and the fact that they've got, grandpa coaching there now.
Yeah. Watch him end up in New York.
Could he end up going back to the Raiders if they break off
No.
Pete Carroll?
No.
We still knows Mark Davis. I mean, his dad, I think the old man was still alive when he was coaching there.
The old man is the one who fired him. But no. I think Lane Kiffin's going to the Giants. Holy shit. But I only have one thing to say as we close tonight's show. Thank you.
So we will see you guys back in our regular time slot, not this Sunday, but the following week, Sunday the 7th. And as you can see on the bottom there, not only is it a conference championship week, it is the penultimate episode for us for 2025. After once we log off here in the next couple of minutes, we only have 2 episodes left. So next week will be our last real meat and potatoes show. We'll talk a little bit about the college football playoff pairings. We'll look into the stretch drive in the NFL, and then we're done for about the next 4 to 6 weeks, and then we'll be back, in January with the Wisey Awards, and then picking things up from there. We're gonna hit, 100 Wisey translators over the course of the next 2 weeks here. But Michael, I can't believe we've only got 2 shows left this year. And the last one, we're only going to really talk sports for about 25 minutes.
Probably closer to a half hour because we'll have the first round pairings at that point in time. Well, no, we'll have the first round game. The first round games will be the next week. So it'll be our usual December show. We talk about some of our favorite moments from the year. We talk about what we plan on doing moving forward. But more importantly, we just get stupid for an hour.
Which we don't have very many OTRs this year at all. So I don't even know if there's going to be enough for a countdown.
Well, we've got 3 or 4. I'm sure we could do a top 5
Yeah,
list.
but what? Remember in years past, we've actually played 6, 7, 8 of them as honorable mentions.
That's true. We'll have to go back through the OTRs and do those in the coming weeks. But yeah, good show tonight. I like the hour. I like the 90-minute runtime. Not that we could do that shit again.
So yeah, it's a good thing we're doing it tonight, because if we had to do this on our normal Sunday spot, I got to pull 12 hours on Monday. So I am not looking forward to it.
Well, I'm working most of the day tomorrow, and of course Sunday afternoon when Bobby and Steph go to the birthday party. Big Rican's getting salty.
Time to go back and finish setting up the tree.
The elf's on ours.
I saw. Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Mrs. Regan got a hold of me.
Oh, good. I'm glad. I'm glad. So we will see you guys next Sunday night. A full breakdown of all the conference championship games and the week that was in the NFL.
For my co-host Mike Martinez, I am Jim Crenity. Everyone, have yourself a safe and happy rest of your Thanksgiving weekend. Happy Friendsgiving for anyone who's going to be doing the parties with the long weekends. I've got one coming up tomorrow with my crew. Mike, I will be in touch, and we will see you guys in 9 days' time. And again, everyone, have yourself a safe and a happy weekend. And with the winter storms coming across, please be careful with any type of travel you may be doing.
Yes, please, please. All joking aside, from where I live, I saw some of the pictures coming out of Cleveland. Please, if you don't have to drive, don't.
We'll see you guys soon.
See you guys next week.
I just like to point out really quick, and Mike is going to give me a bunch of flack for this, but as we were running the outro, he's chatting me that he's going to bed. It's a Friday night. I get that he has to work in the morning. Dude, sack up.